Hi guys, welcome back to Curls and Sports with Erica, and I completely apologize for being MIA in the past week. It was super busy and I just didn't find time to make last week's video, but I definitely still want to go over the reports and still discuss the topics of discussion. And without further ado, let's get started. I think probably the biggest thing from the NFL was probably JPP's hand. Jason Pierre-Paul, he plays for the Giants, and as many of you know, he was caught up in a terrible freak accident from the 4th of July weekend that caused him to lose a couple of fingers and have, a deformed hand nonetheless. He decided to do a release of the images and go behind the scenes and kind of really give everyone the nitty-gritty of his hand. Not for nothing, I kind of put him on a higher pedestal for presenting these images, and the fact that he's back on the field and he's showing his trainings every day, like he just, if anything right now, he's an inspiration to many of those who thought that, hey, I can't do anything anymore just because I'm not able to have, certain parts of my body functioning the way they used to. But his hand just looked completely different, obviously, but it's just incredible, rather, not even crazy, incredible that he's back on the field and he's still going to play in the following NFL season. So without, you can't even take away anything from him. But we just want to commend JPP for kind of just being back out there and just letting this better him and not worsen him. So moving on to some NHL news, the playoffs finally started. The Rangers, they're out for revenge, and I'm not going to discuss the games because I still plan on discussing last week's news this week and a couple of days ago. But the Penguins are definitely giving them a show, and the Ducks, they still have a little bit of unfinished business, but nonetheless, the playoffs are only getting started. And moving it along to some baseball news, Brian Harper, I sound like the fan that named him Bruce Harper. Bryce Harper, he's been trolling the media with his, and not really the media, more like the MLB, with Make Baseball Great Again. And I kind of appreciate where he's coming from. I'm not really a huge fan of Bryce Harper, only because of my affiliation with the Metropolitans, but I love the fact that his hat specifically says Make Baseball Great Again. And I absolutely love it because it's true. Like, why should we get rid of cheers and all this other stuff? Baseball flips. Not baseball flips. Bat flips. I don't know what's going on with my English today. But I'm absolutely happy that he's doing this because at the end of the day, the fan base is suffering, and you could even tell in the numbers, like, fans aren't going as much as they used to the games anymore, and it just makes you wonder, like, are they purposely trying to keep this for old school people? And of course, the old school people have an issue with it, but make baseball fun again, please. Pablo Sandoval's belt, it was quite funny what happened, and at the same time, it kind of makes you wonder about his health. His belt popped as he was in mid-swing, and people started trolling him. A Blue Jays fan to be specific, brought a belt and was like, hey, I have an extra one just in case yours pops. He's always kind of being trolled for his heavy set side, but maybe this is kind of a wake-up call for him to, hey, let me drop a couple of pounds and let me not add to the stereotype that baseball players don't care about their figure. The biggest story out of the Rockies is definitely Trevor Story. His home run record for the first week of baseball has just been phenomenal, and we're just obsessed with how great he has been. And the Orioles were on a terrific 7-0 run. Like, they just keep getting better and better, and I don't see why not. And I don't see why not. I don't see why they shouldn't win the American League East this year. I definitely think they're probably going to win it before the Yankees do, and not because I'm a Yankee hater, but it's just realistic. The Red Sox, they're probably too focused on David Ortiz's last season anyway. Moving on to some NBA news, of course, the biggest story out of last week, the Warriors getting that 73rd win and Kobe's last game. A lot of people were a little bit annoyed about Kobe because they felt like he was being a little bit narcissistic. And I'm not too sure that they're wrong, but at the same time, I'm not too sure that they're right. I feel like he wanted to give fans a show. It's his last game, go all out, as they would say. Like, we saw him a couple of weeks ago iced up in the first quarter. That's not the Kobe you want to remember. The Kobe you want to remember is Mr. who dropped 60 points last week. That's the Kobe we know, in other words. And the Warriors, it was kind of ironic because you had Kobe on one side and ESPN2, and then you had the Warriors on ESPN1. So you were back and forth as if you were watching like a ping pong match or a tennis match, rather. Nonetheless, we're, happy trailings, as they say. It's really, really great to see the Warriors have beaten this record and just kind of make a new name for themselves. We want, like the new school era. It's something that we kind of lived through. I can't really remember the Bulls record because I was only a kid, but this is great because I can say I honestly watched that game. I mean, in between commercials and flipping back and forth. Also, there's a lot of Knicks drama. There was a rumor, it's kind of probably been dismissed by now, but that David Blatt was interested in coaching the Knicks. Now, a lot of people dismissed that, and they also kind of ridiculed it because they're saying that, oh, they couldn't get anything else. Thibs, what about Thibs? We're not too sure what's going to happen, but it's still super early, and the playoffs are still just got started over the weekend. And moving it along to some entertainment news, I think the biggest story that a lot of people were talking about is probably Ben Affleck working on a script for a standalone Batman film. I gasped, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is a bad idea. He bulked up. He looked phenomenal, and I think he did a great job as Batman in the Batman versus Superman film. He was a little bit, I don't understand the voice change. I feel like Christian Bale is to blame, but that's probably because I dislike Christian Bale. That's something we'll discuss in another video. I've disliked him since Shaft. It's a long story, but I just don't like him. I don't know what it is. But anyways, Ben Affleck is working on the script. I think he's been a brilliant director. He's growing. He's kind of just filtering and just growing in every sense of the word. Like, he's just filtering out the bad, and he's grown into this actor that we never really thought we would imagine to see besides the silly films that we would see. But nonetheless, we're just super happy about that. And I'm sorry I'm reaching over because I couldn't reach over for my little guy over here. Of course, we saw a whole bunch of these last week, and we've been seeing them over the weekend with the NBA playoffs. Again, I'll discuss that in another video, and probably in a couple of days, just to keep things going on track. And I think my Jordan face goes to Pablo Sandoval's belt. It was definitely a sad one. It was cry-worthy. It was cringe-worthy. It was all of the worthies. And we just hope that Pablo Sandoval changes. Like, he's just been so... You could even see the Vines. Like, people have no shame. People make fun of him all the time. And we're just over it. That's it. I'm not even going to try to tell you to lose some weight, but at least this should be a little bit of a wake-up call. But anyway... I'm super sorry that I kind of sped through this, only because I don't want to say it's old news, but I don't want to be repetitive, because it's like, okay, we already heard about the Kobe story that's so last week, but I want to keep the show consistent and of course as opinionated as possible. And again, please don't forget to subscribe, and if anything you want me to cover in the next couple of videos, for sure I'll definitely talk about it. Game of Thrones is coming on Sunday. I didn't forget, April 24th. And that is it for this video. Bye guys.